Chapter 3. Nerds. Over the next weeks, I find a comfortable routine. While I'm still a social pariah at school, at least among the other girls, I seem to have found a friend in Jack. We sit at the same pod every day in science class and do our homework at the beanery after school. Unfortunately, we don't seem to be getting much work accomplished, spending most of our time together talking about theories and other things that confirm our nerd status. Our discussions have run off our other pod mates. They tried to join in on the conversation the first day I sat with Jack's group, but they were totally clueless about why Jack laughed so hard when I told him my dog's name is Neutrino. I've also noticed that the closeness Jack and I have developed doesn't seem to sit well with Chloe, who constantly cuts her eyes in our direction. I wish I knew what I did to that girl to make her dislike me so much. On the other hand, I couldn't care less. There are a lot of Chloes at my old school. Superficial girls who bolster their confidence by picking on others. I doubt Chloe and I would ever be friends in any situation. Still, even though Jack and I are friends, I do miss having a girlfriend. So much so that I wonder if I should swallow my pride and give Aubrey a call. I decide against it, for now. While Chloe's been oh so predictable, Jack has proved to be quite the opposite. Full disclosure, Jack's good-looking. Really good-looking. One, he's super smart, and unlike some girls, I've always thought nerds were cute. But on a whole other level, Jack's drop-dead gorgeous. And yes, it is distracting at times, like when I'm wondering what it would be like to move just a little closer and maybe, I'm dying here thinking this, but maybe kiss him. But then Jack goes and says or does something that bugs the crap out of me, and I'm brought back down to earth. Something like this. It's Thursday, and we're at the beanery working on our math homework. We have different math periods, but the same teacher, so we split the work up, both of us working half of the problems. At least I thought we were working on our math homework. I lift my eyes from the scribbles that look more like a number farm that got hit by a tornado than the orderly solution to an equation to see Jack working on his part of the homework. Nope. This is one of those things, I remind myself, that make me wonder about Jack. I was hoping to get my math homework done before I got home. Nice, I say. I'm working like crazy on these equations and you're, what, hanging out on social media? Well done, Jack. No, look, Jack says defensively. He slides his laptop closer so I can see the screen. This is something I put up last night. I lean in and read the title, Neutrino Knows. Awesome, I say. My dog now has her own social media page. It's not for Neutrino, it's for us. I thought we could post our stuff here, says Jack proudly. I'm momentarily sidetracked by his use of the word us, but I shake it off. What stuff? I ask, confused. Jack lowers his voice, looking around to see if anyone else is listening. They aren't, of course. You know, he says. Are you feeling all right? I ask, studying him skeptically. Just take a look, he says. I lean in and read the post Jack has pinned to the top of the page. We believe retrocausality is not only possible, but is somehow accomplished by a mere matter of consent involving time travel, which may lead us to different times, different worlds, and different outcomes. Okay, so we haven't figured out all the details yet, but I have to admit, Jack's words do sound pretty cool. Still, I'm not sure about shouting it to the world. I don't know about this, I say. Come on, says Jack. Don't you think we owe it to humankind to share our massive brain power? You know, for the greater good and all that. I roll my eyes at the size of his ego as I read Neutrino Know's first post. Anyone out there have any thoughts on macro-level retrocausality? I'm shocked to see there are hundreds of replies indicated on the counter, but only the two most popular ones completely show in the feed. I'm afraid you're having the opposite effect, I say, pointing to a reply from someone called Science Matter.
Hey, nutcase. You know what you're suggesting is impossible, right? Try going back to Physics 101 before you entertain this ridiculous idea.
Haters gonna hate, Jack says. Typical nerd using such an outdated phrase, I think.
But look at the other one,
says Jack. I read the short post from someone called 21 but 22. Their response, only a couple of votes shy of taking first place from Science Matter, has started an argument.
Why not?
I feel a secret joy over how their response must have caused Science Matter's head to explode.
And look at these,
Jack says. He clicks a link below the 21 but 22 post and expands hundreds of other comments. Whoa, I say, leaning in, scanning the responses. I need to do more thinking on macro-level retrocausality because I haven't had the effect happen to cause my brain to think yet. Thoughts spin.
Only thoughts that include a closed time-like loop nested with a rotational chronological siphon.
Peter Wolf Justmeyer.
If I could go back in time, I would have saved a bunch of money on my divorce.
That guy, 481. To which someone else responded, or you could have just listened to your mother. Susanna. I laugh at this last exchange, then read other posts that offer scientific explanations on proving or disproving the theory of retrocausality in time travel. Well done, Jack. I say this time without the slightest bit of sarcasm. I notice 21 but 22 has replied to nearly every post that supports the notion of macro-level retrocausality. What about this one? I ask, pointing to 21 but 22's most recent reply. Troll, says Emma, not having noticed she's standing right behind us. 21 but 22, what kind of name is that anyway? I'd block 'em, she says.
This coming from someone who has absolutely no digital footprint, says Jack. You'd block everyone.
True, says Emma, walking back to the counter where a customer waits for a refill. Should we? I ask. Block 21 but 22?
No way, says Jack. They're on our side.
He scrolls through the comments, liking those who support our theory, including the dozens of responses from 21 but 22. I watch Jack for a few minutes until my eyes drift back to my math homework. If you can tear yourself away, I say, tapping on the mess on my paper.
You got it,
says Jack. He closes his laptop and slides my work to where he can see it. See it, but apparently not read it.
Yeesh, he says. Are you sure this is your work, or did you take it off a kindergartner?
Hilarious, I say.
It's no big deal, says Jack. We'll sort it out.
He opens his math book, and together we wade through the problems, finishing up an hour later. The sky is turning that odd shade of gray as it slips from blue to black. I'd better head out, I say, stacking several sheets of notebook paper into one pile. Thanks for your help.
Anytime,
says Jack. Talk tomorrow? I ask.
Tomorrow,
says Jack. I know it sounds weird, but this is the way Jack and I say our final goodbye for the day. It's something that started the first time he texted me, and it's just sort of stuck with us. I hoist my book bag over my shoulder. Bye, Emma. I wave to her as I exit the coffee shop and step into the quiet of downtown Miller's Island. Rush hour traffic doesn't exist on Miller's Island. Well, not in the usual sense. Almost everyone owns a car here, but many of the cars are stored off the island. Miller's Island has one ferry that comes twice a day. It's a small ferry that only holds a few cars, so most people leave their cars on the mainland, choosing to drive around the island on electric golf carts. Even the high school kids drive golf carts to school. Several drivers wave or call out, "Hey," as I make my way home. Both of my parents' cars are parked in the driveway. We don't own a golf cart yet, and my mom isn't comfortable with us having zero transportation. Our house is a typical 2-story beach cottage that's built on tall stilts. All the homes on Miller's Island have stilts to protect them against storm surges during severe weather. In my opinion, our house, like all the others here, looks like a shack on sticks. None of the houses in Columbia look like this. But as my dad reminds me, none of the houses in Columbia have the beautiful backyard that we do. Nearly every house on this small island is oceanfront, and that is something that has suited me from day one. I love the bits of sea glass I've combed from the beaches during my long walks along the shore. My most prized pieces are stored in a tall cylindrical glass container that sits on my windowsill and treats me to my own private rainbow when the sun rises each morning. Summers here are comfortable, not sweltering like in Columbia. The constant sea breeze helps keep the temperature down, and most of our days are sunny. Even when a storm is brewing on the mainland, we seldom have thunderstorms. As soon as I walk in the front door, I'm attacked by Neutrino. She's yapping and dancing all around me as if I've been gone for decades. I bend to pet her, but she's so wound up my hand only pets the empty air where she'd been seconds before. Finally, I scoop her into my arms and lavish her with praise. "Such a good girl," I coo. "What did you do today?" I ask, as if she'd actually answer me. Neutrino licks my face, which I normally hate, but I feel a little guilty when I realize I haven't been spending as much time with her as I should. I carry the small dog to my room and hook my bag on the back of my desk chair. Then I collapse onto my bed with Neutrino's short legs bouncing her fat tummy across my comforter until she finally settles in beside me. And now I'm stuck with a dilemma. Dare I disturb Neutrino by getting up to grab my laptop? She looks so peaceful, and I feel bad about being away from her so much. And so I stretch out my arm to the point of near dislocation to where my laptop sits at the foot of the bed. I'm now a contortionist as I try to slide the laptop to me without waking my tiny dog. Got it. I go online and find the Neutrino Nose page and quickly submit a connection request. My request is immediately granted by Jack. For some reason, this makes me happy, knowing Jack and I are on the Neutrino Nose page at the same time. What is wrong with me? I skim over the page, amazed by how many new comments have posted in the past hour. I'm a little concerned again when I see the replies from 21 but 22. But then I see Jack has commented to every one of their posts, and I figure it's a little late for concern. A PM pops up from Jack.
Message me a pic of Neutrino for her page.
I laugh at this for a full minute before I send Jack my favorite photo of Neutrino. It's the one where she's standing tall for her anyway, at our back door. I think it's cute that although she can only look through the lowest of the 12 window panes, there's still something commanding and regal in her pose. The next day in science class, Jack tells me Neutrino's account has been flooded with connection requests. That's crazy, isn't it? I ask. All those people asking to connect to a dog? Well, they don't really know Neutrino is a dog, says Jack. Lots of people use pics of their pets for their profile. But since you put it that way, yeah, it's a scream. He lets out a laugh that causes heads to turn in our direction. Ms. Phillips is using another one of her teacher powers, pretending she's not interested in the conversations taking place at all of the pods in the room, when in actuality, her bat-like hearing picks up every single whisper. She hones in on Jack and me and stops by our pod. I've really enjoyed hearing your ideas these past few days, says Ms. Phillips, but I'm a little concerned that you haven't shared your project topic with me yet. I give Jack an, "Oh crap, look." We're narrowing it down, says Jack, trapping us both in what I know is a total lie. Well, shoot for giving me the topic before you leave today, says Ms. Phillips. Thought experiments were Einstein's favorite, but at some point, even he had to test his theories. Ms. Phillips leaves our pod to deliver the same expectation to a group of girls sitting a few feet away who had obviously been using their time in science class wisely, dissecting every scene from some show they all watch. Why did you tell Ms. Phillips that? I ask, anxiety building inside me. Chill, says Jack. We've got 45 minutes before class ends. We'll find something. I pick up my science book and madly flip through the pages. I begin calling out possible topics: human body system, energy, heredity. Jack grabs my arm, trapping my hand in the middle of the book. Let's do it on retrocausality, he says, giving me the perfect eureka moment expression. How is retrocausality related to solving a real-world problem? I ask. That's the easy part, says Jack. Once we figure out the rest, we'll add that part at the end. I have to admit, I am intrigued by the idea of being able to devote class time researching something I find fascinating. To quote 21 but 22, I say, why not? Jack sells the idea to Ms. Phillips, crediting her mention of Einstein's thought experiments. We won't be able to prove it, says Jack, but we'll read lots of research and then let the class decide if they think macro-level retrocausality is possible. I love it, says Ms. Phillips, beaming at Jack. I can't wait to learn what you find out. Jack's feeling a little full of himself for what he considers a stroke of brilliance, but I let him have his moment, especially since this project gives us plenty of excuses to use the laptops every day in class as we research our topic. A few minutes later, I'm reading an article online about quantum retrocausality, the idea that retrocausality could happen on the tiniest scale, when I hear Jack snicker. I don't even have to ask. I immediately log into my account and hop over to Neutrino's page. I smile when I see her profile pic. Scanning the posts, I see no one has, at least not yet, caught on to the fact that Neutrino is the tiny dog of an 8th grade girl. I shake my head and read Jack's most recent post, another of what I call debate bait. These are traps Jack puts out, hoping to incite an argument over whatever he's posted. We've turned this into a contest of sorts, predicting which post encourages the most replies before the entire thread disintegrates into a name-calling free-for-all. Jack thinks it's funny to pinpoint the precise moment when even the most scholarly types reach their breaking points. He points to where the breakdown in open communication occurs within this current thread, following Jack's post about time travel.
Even Einstein wrote, "For us believing physicists, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubborn illusion."
L_186. To which someone replied, "If you're trying to use an Einstein quote to support the idea of time travel, you clearly don't understand what Einstein said or did. No amount of shifting through time can fix that level of ignorance. Science is not a theory." I can't help myself. I burst out laughing, causing Ms. Phillips to use her teacher powers to send me a non-verbal message. Get back to work. I stifle my giggles and close Jack's laptop. I think we better save this stuff for the beanery. Jack glances at Ms. Phillips. Yeah, she might be on to us. He slides my textbook closer and pretends to be looking up something in the index. Is she still looking at me? He whispers. I shake my head over Jack's being intimidated by our petite science teacher. No, you're safe. She's zeroing in on Wyatt. Jack lets out a sigh, then closes the book and pushes it aside. He gives me a strange look as he watches me flip through notes I've jotted down on index cards. I wait a few minutes, wondering what's on his mind, until the silence gets the best of me. Are you conducting some sort of mind-reading experiment right now? I ask. If so, you might want to look away. Huh? Asks Jack. You're staring at me. Is there a reason why? I ask. Jack scratches his jawline and clears his throat. It seems like he's about to say something, but then only gives a dry, obviously fake cough. I'm about to lose my patience when Jack finally speaks. Are you going to the fall festival? He blurts out. I'd almost forgotten about the festival and the lock-in that's scheduled for tonight. It's an innocent enough question, but Jack's expression seems to be hiding an ulterior motive. Yeah, I say. I guess so. You? Jack's posture relaxes, and he leans back in his seat. I am now. Abigail Barnes slams a drawer shut behind Jack, causing both of us to jump in our seats. When the bell rings, Jack picks up his book bag and gives me this weird kind of nod before heading out of the classroom. I watch him go, perplexed by this sudden change in Jack. This is the first time since we became friends that Jack has exhibited this level of awkwardness. I'm not sure what's caused it, but I don't like it at all. I've gotten used to having Jack as a friend, and I don't want anything to change between us. I decide to get to the bottom of this when we meet up at the beanery later, but then I realize I won't have the opportunity since I've just committed myself to the lock-in, which starts in a few hours. Something catches my eye, and I turn to see Abigail bending down, whispering in Chloe's ear. Chloe stares at me, her gaze intense and her expression angry. I gather my things and head out of the classroom, feeling daggers in my back as I pass by Chloe's pod.